my new glasses, courtesy
Lovely,
of
mate.
Hugh Ross Opticians.
Mr. Ross
Yes.
Opticians.
Yes.
We on here?
We're live.
Would that be Ross Opticians?
In
Shettleston Road, Glasgow.
Indeed.
Traditional values, modern vision.
That's it, traditional values, modern vision.
Yes, I go to Mr. Ross myself.
What's that lassie's laughing at us?
Fantastic optician. Name one of you laughing.
We'll need to try and tone it down a wee bit. She's doing her work.
Oh, sorry.
We're doing a wee video. We're doing a wee live video, so we're dead loud. Come on now.
Come on now and hang about.
A wee Zoom talk. So, we are on Thursday, the 19th of November.
Yep.
And today is Men's Mental Health Day through Movember. And I'm joined with the sensational Francis Devine. We've just been having wee blethers.
Yep.
We meet up for a coffee and then we just decided to go live with what we talk about. So we thought,
Keep it going. See where it goes.
so we're going into lockdown tomorrow, Frank?
Into lockdown tomorrow,
6 p.m. tomorrow
This
night.
and particularly where we are now. I mean, I go to the gym in here. The living well. Love it, Jeff.
Wait a minute.
It's been a
Wait a minute.
It's been a fantastic boost for me.
Just get that on the camera there, you know, that vegan accessory.
Very
folk
good.
like to...
What?
Now Facebook folk like to
Aye,
accessorise.
accessorise.
You can't go and Zoom unless you've got a whole collaboration of a
Yeah,
library.
that's it.
CS
I love the library. The library, you can get the library look, or you can get the photo look, or you get the ornament look, but you always need some form of look as if that kind of represents the type of person you are.
This right now, I'm raw and I'm vegan. I'm projecting a raw and vegan image right now.
Brilliant, mate, brilliant.
How have you been?
Aye, alright, aye. As I said, it's with the lockdown, back into lockdown again. It was bad enough, but I mean, personally for me, it's a wee bit late in the morning. I know you go and you do your swimming, your cold showers in the morning and the Clyde up the Falls of Clyde. Well, getting to the gym for me was a kind of lifesaver. So I was fine. I was coming here in the morning first thing. Well, I've got kind of things I've got to do as well now because my mother's been unwell. So once I get her sorted, I was coming here, trying to do 2 sessions in here in the morning, then coming back down in the afternoon, like what I'm back in here again, you know, because I'm an addict. But that's got a lot to do with the addict personality or the addictive personality probably. If I like something, I don't want to just be a wee bit good at it. I want to be the world champion at it. Whether it's drink, drugs, sex, going to the gym.
I don't agree with that word.
I know you don't.
I don't agree with that word, addictive personality. I don't think we have an addictive personality.
No.
I think we can be susceptible to using any kind of behaviour that gives us a feeling that we're satiated. So it's like, why are we doing the behaviour? We're doing the behaviour because we get something from it. But where does it take us from? It takes us away from our pain. So some of the behaviours that we might participate in is to make us feel better.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I remember you and I discussing this about maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and discussing this thing about the addictive personality. When I'm just throwing that flippantly into the mix, into the development.
Yeah.
But I'm conscious that there are different ways of looking at it. You can talk about the addictive personality, or you can speak about trauma, and I'm far more inclined. Maybe I'm open to receptive to both ways of looking at it. But the trauma thing, again, something you and I discussed 11 years ago, is something. There's a lot of value in that as well. So. But I'm aware there's different ways of looking at it. But I mean, what trauma causes you to overeat chocolate? If you get what I'm.
Well, what trauma? It could be that your sympathetic limbic system has been burned out. Your adrenal is.
What does that mean?
Okay, so you've got like a limbic system inside your body, which is you've either got your parasympathetic or your sympathetic limbic system, and we should gravitate between the two of them very fluidly. So we should move between action and relaxation, right? So fight or flight, or rest and digest. So fight or flight's when we get a buzz of adrenaline and we get drove to action. Or rest and digest is when we quiet our limbic system and we're in a kind of meditative state. And maybe you've got a feeling of exhaustion or burnt out or fatigue, and you're using an illusionary product such as caffeine or sugar to give you that feeling that you're satiated, to give you a feeling that you're bust up. You see, as we were talking about addictive personalities and addictive patterns, you know what I've noticed? Like on the way here today, the traffic was really, really busy, right? And I was on the phone to a friend, I was like, the traffic's murder. And they said, aye, everybody will be going to get their last minute shopping before Friday. But that leads on from what I was thinking about last night and what I wanted to do a live on this morning, but forgot. See, when they lock us down, when they shut things down, do you find that it's almost like a hangover, like you go through a withdrawal? Things start to get taken away from you.
Right.
Things that you were attached to, associated to, right? And like all addicts, see, before they're going to stop, they all binge on it, didn't they? Right, that's it, I'm getting up the drinking Monday. So they have an absolute flyer at it the weekend, right? They turn around and say, that's it, I'm getting up the Charlie. And they'll go and buy a half quarter, and that half quarter turns into a half ounce, and they just absolutely annihilate, and then they're like, that's it, I'm throwing the towel in.
Yep.
Same thing when you go on a diet. You go and have 2 pizzas instead of 1 before you start it.
Possibly because my life nowadays is quite sort of a mundane. Some people might see it as mundane. I'm not going to have the big, no. All that I'm going to, basically all I'm losing, and it's no, I'm saying basically all I'm losing, it's more than, it's quite a big thing to me, is losing getting to the gym.
Yep.
I'm going to need today, I've got luckily Mr. Lafferty got me an exercise bike right at the start of the first lockdown. I've got it in the living room. That's going to come back into play big time with me, and possibly I'll be able to go walks or whatever. But
do you find it harder to motivate yourself in the house?
Aye, you do.
It's harder, isn't it?
You do, aye, I think so. I think it is a bit harder. So, but I mean, the thing is, I think because you're talking about a 3-week lockdown, people we're losing a lot. I'm not, we're losing a lot, but thank God I've got these things. I need to, in my mind, project myself and see, conceptualise that I'm going to get back at this again in 3 weeks. I'm going to come back to the gym and that. On a wider external level, if you like, what I would be saying now is what's going to happen at Christmas and New Year, because there's going to be a massive spike after Christmas and New Year. Anybody thinks there isn't. We know there's going to be. So we get through this to now, knowing what's going to happen around about Christmas and New Year, because the government, and let me say something right now, I don't care what government would have been in control, they would all have made an ass of it, or they would all have found it very, very problematic to deal with what we're going through, But is that because they know that there's going to be a spike after that, and because now that people's conscious that their vaccines are coming, it might be a while before they're getting rolled out to the kind of general population, but at-risk groups and elderly people are going to get them first, I would imagine. Is there an understanding that, the vaccine's coming, so people will be a wee bit more lackadaisical? But that come Christmas, regardless of the rules that come Christmas and New Year, people are going to do the right thing, I think, and they're going to say, no, we've been doing it all year, so we're entitled to
I'm just noticing behaviour the now roundabout, and I don't know if that is the case or not, that because we're going into lockdown tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, it's like everybody's went into this, everybody's hyperactive, everybody's went hyper, they're trying to cram in as much in what they're going to think they're missing for 3 weeks.
And it's crazy because it's crazy because the supermarkets are still open.
They're still going to open. B&M's are still open. In fact, everywhere's open.
Well, this is the thing I know. Now, I'm not going to... This is another issue, if you like, or is it another issue, the way that... this is just a boon for online retailers.
Of course.
Over Christmas. I don't buy into the whole Christmas derangement syndrome anymore, in terms of the shopping thing and all that. I don't think it's healthy for people at all. However, it's no people's going to do. People's got their own autonomy to decide what they're going to do with their money, how they're going to spend it, how they're going to celebrate their conception of Christmas or New Year or whatever. But online retailers are going to make a fortune. But what's happening is that a lot of local companies, if you like, are going to lose fortunes.
Imagine
and
companies.
A lot of companies make their money.
Yep.
A lot of companies maybe make a quarter, I don't know, it's a
25-30%
of their income gets generated over
December.
Christmas. And that's lost a lot. Well, the first 14 days or something are lost, so that's an issue as well.
And my heart goes out to local retailers that have bought all this Christmas stock back in July or August, preparing for Christmas, and they're not going to have it. You know, the waste in food companies. I mean, I'm sure there's restaurants right now that are going to have a load of food wastage.
Mm-hmm. I think they can. There's so much they can claim. Businesses are able to claim that, but it's pennies. It's no.
Claiming's no the thing, though. It's just like there's, you know, folk are starving. You know.
Aye.
And there's a massive amount of food just going to go in the bucket.
Oh, it's crazy.
Crazy.
It's crazy how it's going to work out.
It's crazy.
The whole. We knew it was never going to be a normal
Susan
Christmas.
Boyd wants to be in your video. Susan Boyd wants to come into the video. Susan, do you want to come into your video?
Susan. Watching. Who's this?
Well, she was watching and then she's clicked the wee thing that she wants to come in. Well, I approve her.
I don't know who she is, but
I don't know who she is either. I do know her.
Yeah.
I think she's maybe did that by accident.
See, you find if we started doing this, there's tons of females are contacting you. want to be your Facebook friend and that. And offers a marriage and to take you out.
They've not seen my bald head under my hat.
No.
So no, addictive pursuits during these very difficult times. I mean, we're hearing constantly that mental health services are bursting at the seams. Fellowship meetings are getting more and more people. Luckily, fellowship meetings are staying open through Zoom.
They are, and can also say as well, there's a lot of fellowship meetings now are now open in person.
You want that lassie's want to come in and join us, I think.
Is it her?
Aye, she does. Do you know her? Is she a pal of yours?
No. I've never seen her in my life.
That's funny.
Maybe wants to run about with us,
but
I know there's a lot of CA and AA meetings have been taking place, no physical live meetings. Not, I wouldn't say there's been a lot of them, but I know that there's been ones in. For instance, a friend of mine was telling me he's been going to AA meetings 4 or 5 nights a week in this area, in the kind of Lanarkshire area, Lanarkshire stroke East End of Glasgow area, if you like. They've been going to meetings, and I think it's the same with CA meetings. So there's physical meetings on as well. But the Zoom meetings have obviously helped a lot of people. But the thing is, the people that's going to Zoom meetings are going to live meetings are the people who have managed to sort of generate the courage to say, I need help. It's the amount of people who probably are completely unable that are suffering because they can't, they're not able to say, look, I'm suffering here.
So mental health is needing to be addressed effectively.
I think so.
Addiction is needing to be addressed effectively. But I'm bringing it back to this. I'm bringing it back to, we're going into lockdown and it's like people feel as if they're losing out on something. They feel as if something's getting taken away from them. It's like, well, we're going to begin into lockdown come Friday night, and there's this real increase about this panic almost. It's like this. They've got such an attachment or an addiction, if you like, to their external reality, that external reality is providing some kind of security for them, and when that's getting taken away, it's putting people into panic. You know, I'm all for exercising mental health. I'm a huge advocate for it, and I know that with the gyms being closed, gyms create such a safe haven for people to manage their mental health.
100%.
It does, but on the same token, there's still things you can do. during that last lockdown, I used to walk down around New Lanark every morning and do those
that's
vlogs.
right. I was doing the
do you
same.
know I used to do you know I
in
used to pass a
Belfast.
guy? I used to pass a guy that was doing pull-ups on a tree and
Brilliant.
sit up. You know,
Brilliant, aye.
they were actually, they turned this wee local park
Yeah,
into their gym.
yes, people, you're absolutely right. It's falling back on your own resources. Some people don't have the ability to fall back in their own resources.
Right, why is that?
Because maybe over time, and again it can be a generational thing to an extent, but people have lost the ability to fall back in their own. I mean,
So that's resilience. So people haven't got resilience.
Resilience to cope with adverse external factors in life.
I like that. Adverse external
factors that have negative factors that have changed. They're going to impinge on how they interact with the external world, if you like. So they're not going to be, finding it difficult. I mean, I thank God when honestly, I think it was just at the start of the lockdown. Paul Lafferty appeared at my door. We had an exercise bike. I was like, thank you, God. Because it might not be the best thing in the world. But having that, being able to do 3 hours a day in the house watching the telly or whatever, because I'm stuck now, because I'm no in work now, it was an absolute. And then you do sit ups, you do press ups, and all that.
But it is hard to motivate yourself.
It is, and
it is difficult.
I think it's hard for people if you're not into, if you're not maybe that way inclined, is to be, into maybe a bit of physical exercise. So if you're inclined to sit and spend your time doing other things, eating, drinking, snorting or whatever.
Well, we know that doesn't end well. Aye. You know, it's funny. There's another thing that popped into my head. There's another wee guy, right? He goes down the water every day and he does takes a couple of pictures of himself every day, right? A wee guy called Darren, right? And he's been doing it probably the same length of time as I've been doing it, right?
Aye.
And see what I notice, I'm just going way off tangent here, right? But what I notice is every day when he puts a picture up of himself, all the people that are, every day, somebody will write, "You're mad, you're off your head, you're no right." Right?
No.
Every day.
But see, you sit in the house.
But when I do it, I've never had one person write underneath it, "You're mad, you're off your head, you're no right." And I thought, what is it about him? He's doing the same thing.
It could be something to do with the way people want to represent things that to them are out with the normal.
Correct.
Because if you know, I think as an example, like, see when I first stopped drinking, when I started going to first of all I started running. With people from my work,
you done a 10k and everything.
Aye.
Remember that?
So see when I was doing the 10k, then I took my leg and I wasn't able to run anymore. The 10k, and I remember going to the gym down at Strathclyde Park and starting to go to the gym. So what I started to and then I was like, this is quite good, this gym. I was beginning to get right, and again, you're saying it's not the addictive personality, but I've got this thing, that if it's working for me, I'm enjoying it and I'm going to keep doing it.
If one's good,
so what I started doing was, this is quite significant, and this thing, what I'm going to tell you, got me into a completely different psychological dispensation. I started clock checking in on Facebook at 6 o'clock in the morning at the Mark Busby in Bellshill. I wasn't doing that for other people, I was doing that for myself. Because it got me into a way, this is at the time where I was pushing myself, and I felt it became a sort of an article of faith with me to clock in every morning at 6 o'clock. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I kept doing it, and that totally changed my reality and got me from the kind of state I was in, which was finished. Absolutely. Psychologically, physically, mentally, and morally finished. So that transformed me.
And what you're seeing there is a direct effect of your focus creates your reality.
1,000,000%. Focus does create reality.
Well, so I agree with that, but people that are listening to this don't know that yet.
Aye.
People that are listening to this might not know that you have the power to change
Change
your
reality.
narrative and change reality.
Absolutely. When I changed my reality.
Yes.
Through focus,
Focus,
determination, commitment, single-mindedness,
Yep.
and passion about something that kept me going.
Absolutely.
And a lot is down to self-belief. Obviously, self-belief and that.
Yep.
Determined to make sure that you keep changing in terms of, and it's an evolving, continuing thing.
Right. So
you've got to believe in yourself, but you've got to believe that focus determines reality.
of course it does.
Without a doubt.
Focus determines reality, but people don't. Well, I'm not saying there's only however many people, a dozen people watching this now, and I'm not saying
No,
for a
there's
minute.
15,000.
Right, 15,000 people watching this right now. Just keep telling myself that, but it's no fake it till you make it, and it's not perhaps some positive thinking. It's about, as you say, it's aligning your mind, your heart, and your body. You named it as passion comes for the heart, focus comes for the mind,
Yep.
and how you were changing your body.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm trying to say is I can imagine people that knew me then going like that, he's fucking lost it.
Yes.
But no, I was determined that regardless of what other people thought or how other people chose to represent me, I was going to represent and determine how I was going to be represented by continuing in a course of action, come rain, come hell or high water, continuing that course of action. And I won.
So people's perception.
I won through that, you know.
So wee Darren that goes to the water every day, he's making great changes in his life. He's doing absolutely
100%,
incredible.
aye.
People are signing in and going, "You're off your head. You're
Aye,
all
because
right."
that's people
Aye,
they
because
can't
you're no
understand.
you're-
Or they're trying to bring the boy down.
Aye.
They're trying to bring the boy down. They're trying to kind of belittle what he's doing.
Aye, and they're coming for a paradigm where they're maybe eating takeaways every night, drink a couple of cans of Stella,
Aye.
and snorting a few bags at the
Aye,
weekend. And
maybe.
that's
You've
that's
lost
the way
it.
to go.
You've lost
I mean,
it.
that's the
You're
way
out
to do
looking
it,
after
man.
yourself and getting fit. You've lost it.
Yep. I found some kind of comfort in going to church in Lanark about 10 years ago. Maybe longer than that. I found a place in church. And oh my God, I was a born again Christian. Oh, for fuck's sake, man. No, I've just found a space, a quiet place where I can go and meditate and pray. You don't need to be religious to go to church. You don't need to be Christian, Catholic, Hindu, whatever. It's just a quiet place.
Even what you've just said there, born again, that language doesn't feed into my kind of worldview.
Yeah.
I just deepened my faith. I go to mass every week.
Yeah.
Love it to death. Love things that see other people try and put you down or try and kind of infantilise because they don't understand it.
Yeah.
I love going to mass. I love doing things that fit in with my worldview.
Yeah.
I love rejecting all this kind of ephemeral stuff that doesn't really matter anymore to me. But believing in what I believe in and believing that helps me navigate my way through the world, through society, through travails and troubles.
Yes. And keeping your focus and keeping on a journey where your reality is continually changing. Because so quickly.
1,000,000%.
It's like, this is what I was thinking about this as well. This is quite important, right? I was thinking about this. So some of the vlogs I've been doing this week have been around about what you focus on grows, right? What you think
1,000,000%.
right? And on it's like
You're what you think.
absolutely. But for so long I was encapsulated, I was addicted. I never had any internal strength to change my internal mindset perception from looking at one thing to another. And I know when it was about a year and a half ago. I started working with this guy, and he really taught me very, very well how to do that. And it's like I have got no room for anything that comes into my body now that doesn't make it feel nice, right? So I can have certain thoughts. I could have thoughts, as I said, and I was reluctant to share this, right? I haven't seen my daughter for a number of years, right? Whatever reason, it is what it is. But I did not think I was expecting a birthday card on Monday. I genuinely didn't think I was expecting one, right? But then on Tuesday, I went looking for the mail and there wasn't a card there, and I was hurt. I was upset. I was saddened. But straight away it changed.
Glasses, mate?
Straight away it changed to, like, I was crabbit. I was a wee bit angry. And that lasted for about 2 hours, right? I was in a crabbit phase, and then I allowed myself to sink into the loss, the hurt, had a wee moment to myself, and boom, it was gone. Frank, 10 years ago I would have hung on to that for a fortnight. I would have ruminated over that for weeks and weeks and weeks. But see now, I've been so blessed that I've got this mindset that allows me to see internally how certain thoughts make me feel. Now, mindset, what you're saying is that you focused with determination and you started going to the gym and you changed your reality.
Yes.
Every single one of us can do that.
Yeah.
Every single person that might watch this video, and this isn't some The Secret or some wishy-washy nonsense, right? It's real stuff. It's like
1,000,000%.
It's real stuff. And if you want to watch BBC battering the wife every weekend, eating kebabs, snorting Charlie, right, sleeping with your wife's best pal, or your best pal sleeping with your wife, or whatever, right, and that's the channel you want to watch, that's okay. We're not condemning that. But what we're saying is that through determination and focus, you can change the channel.
Aye, can I say something to you? This is today with mindsets, right? I've told you this before, and I've said this to a couple of people, but mindsets, I remember, and I maybe we mentioned this before, either on air or just you and I just talking about how I used to look at people that would, if I was standing having a fag somewhere, watching somebody running, I used to go like that. Look at that crack, what away by there running. What's that all about? Now when I see somebody out running, I just look and I go, wow. God bless you, son. Wow, keep going. I just total different frame of mind. That's all down to frames of mind and how we all we adopt or assume particular worldviews. The problem is that so many people adopt worldviews now, I think. And what they adopt a worldview and they try and fit all this stuff into this worldview when it maybe doesn't fit. You know? But,
say more about that.
Well,
describe more to me. I'm not catching what you mean.
I'll give you an example, right? If you like, a contemporary example, we can look at how people adopt or assume particular worldviews, right? Now, I've not seen this advert, but there's an advert on the telly now, or there has been, or it's been on, I don't know where it's been, but I think it's Sainsbury's have an advert, and it's a black family, a family of colour, or people of colour, celebrating Christmas. Right? It's caused a bit of controversy. I think a lot of people's kind of had issues with the advert. And what I've noticed for this is, is looking at it as a comment, what I'm trying to say is, of course, racist people will look at that advert and be raging because it's a black family. But I also think you should be able to comment critically on that advert as a cultural artefact, or as a cultural. What does that say about contemporary Britain? You should be able to look at the advert and deconstruct the different elements of the advert and comment on them critically without being called a racist, despite the fact racist people will rip the advert apart and say no. What I'm trying to say is there's so many people, they just adopt and
they adopt a narrative. But do you know what really it's like, how quickly people can pull other people in through triangulation to adopt a particular worldview, perhaps of you or of me, right? And how they try and he's a really nice guy. Oh no. you know what he used to be into. You know what he used to do, didn't you? Oh, you didn't know that? Oh, you don't know any of it.
I know, and it's all down to bad-mouthing people and bringing them to... It's all about an obsession about other people.
Wow, I know.
An obsession about other people and trying to construct a negative representation of these people.
Yes,
or
to give them a sense of power. To give them a sense of power over them.
Aye.
And it's like, I was saying this morning, anywhere where we're moaning or complaining, we give our power away. And I was chatting to somebody the other day there, and it's like, again, another blessing is when somebody starts to run somebody down to me now. I say...
you just see it like...
I see it so quick, and I'm like,
it's terrible.
Or they're trying to pull me in. It's like, or somebody that they know that I've got an issue with, right? They want to wind you in, right?
Aye.
Right? They want to pull you. It's like, why are you talking to me about that person? I'm not interested.
Aye.
I genuinely am not interested.
There's a one, and I obviously would never mention anybody's name, but there's somebody in particular, and they've done it to me. They've just mentioned 3 or 4 individuals. They've rabbited on about them, and you can see they're trying to get a reaction from you in relation to these individuals.
Yeah.
And you're saying to yourself, you've never brought this person up as a topic for discussion. And you say to yourself, what is getting said about me? If this is the way you're talking about these people that we've never discussed.
No, absolutely. As my granny used to say, Frank, if they're talking to you about somebody else, you can be sure they're talking about you to somebody else. Wait a minute. I'm just putting on my glasses here from Hugh Ross Opticians.
Hugh Ross Opticians,
right,
Shettleston Road, Shettleston. Traditional values, modern vision.
I love them, Hugh, thank you. Susan Boyd. Sometimes, no matter how much you want to change the channel, it's too hard. It's not always easy. Of course, it's not going to be easy, right? Right, Susan. Right. This is what it's like, Susan. This is just for you. What happens is you develop a set of habits, a set of behaviours, right? A set of habits and a set of behaviours. And you repetitively do those habits and behaviours, right? And then they become subconscious and then they become unconscious, right? And what it's like is it's like those behaviours create a groove, like a path. So if you go out a walk in the park, you can look at the park and you can see where the path has been quite clearly through the park. Why is that? Because it's been well trodden. It's a well trodden path, right? So we've got lots of well trodden paths within our own mind through habitualised narratives and schemas and behaviours that we've been doing over and over again, right? So imagine that's a set of neural networks. Imagine that's like a neural network in the brain, loads of strands, right? And it's very, very bright. It's burning brightly. Now, what happens is when you decide that you want to change the channel and you want to look in another direction, you're looking onto a barren landscape. You're looking onto an open field, if you like, that doesn't have any grooves in it yet, okay? So you first of all, as Frank says, you make the decision, right? You make the choice. This is where I'm going to head, and it's very, very hard work. Now, I'm going to use my metaphors because this is what works for me around it, right? So it's like neural networks, and what we've got to do is we've got to create new circuitry in that particular neural region in the brain, right? So when we start a new habit or behaviour, be that going to the gym, going to an AA meeting, getting out a destructive relationship, whatever that might be, changing your weight, you know, starting juicing, whatever it might be that you're going to do, what you've got to do is you've got to get these 2 flints and you've got to start banging them together. You've got to start banging the 2 flints together until a spark jumps off them. Once the spark jumps off onto this hay in your brain, if you like, right, and it starts smoking, you've then got to get down and you've got to start blowing your intention into the neural networks until that becomes a fire. Now, that then becomes your new reality that you've created through the power of your mind and your thinking and your focus and your thoughts, right? Now, with them, what starts to happen is the old behaviour, be that drugs, alcohol, destructive relationships, aggressive behaviour, whatever they may be, they go down. So you've turned the dimmer switch up on the new channel and you've turned the dimmer switch down in the old channel. Now, the difficult thing here that really needs to be addressed is that although the old behaviour looks as if it doesn't have any activity going on, the very second that you go back to that old activity, even a smell, right, can create a memory, trigger a response, okay? You don't need to put any hard work in. It's like that. So if you've been off a drink for 10 years or 15 years, right, and you have one drink, it's like throwing a gallon of gasoline, it's like throwing a gallon of petrol over that sleeping cat of the old behaviour, and woof, before you know it, it's just woof, all the old behaviours and all the old patterns and all the old associations that were associated to that are instantly awoken. And before, when you were watching it, you became accustomed to the size of the TV that it was on. but when it reawakens, it comes up in 4D, IMAX screen, it's huge. So then it's really, really difficult after you've woken that sleeping giant up to put it back to sleep and come back into old behaviour. But as you'll have heard about, when you go to the gym, when you've left the gym for a while, you've got muscle memory. So however long it took you to build your muscles up, it doesn't matter if you go away for the gym for 3 months or 6 months. When you get back to the gym, it takes you less time to increase your muscle than it did the first time it took you to do it. So your mindset's exactly the same as that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Can I just say this bit here? Hello to the 500,000 people who have joined the podcast in America, all the Australians who have joined, and the Malaysians. It's just mushrooming the amount of people that's listening into it. There must be about at least 1 million people now listening to me and you. You are havering
and blethering. Blethering and havering. Certainly no havening, that's for sure. We're no havening anybody, because that's a pile of nonsense. Aye, it's interesting, isn't it, and how we then habits, because one of the things we've been talking about in church, I'm an elder in a church in Lanark called Greyfriars, and I am part
very historic church.
Yes.
May I just add?
Yes, indeed. And
may I just interject into what you're saying? The very historic church.
Yes, and we've had some presbytery meetings on Zoom and session clerk meetings on Zoom. And at the last session clerk meeting, one of the conversations that we had in our breakout room in Zoom was around about, because people haven't been to church for so long, they've broke the habit of coming to church. How do you recreate that habit again? Now, take that away from the conversation take the conversation away about church. But look at all the things that we've lost, and isn't it amazing how quickly you forget? Like all the things that we used to do pre-March the 23rd that are no longer there, that we don't really realise we've built the habits too.
What you're saying about, I know you're saying no, but I mean that the secularisation is we're on to such an extent in the UK as a whole, in the decline in religious faith.
The decline in religious faith
has been, and nothing has taken its place.
Well, is that true?
I think it is true to an extent, and there's nothing substantial.
There's nothing substantial took its place. That's more accurate.
That is an anomaly. No, that people are
they're searching for something.
People need something to believe in. I firmly believe that people need something to believe in. That's not there any longer. People are lost. You take away things it's all very well, things that are there that are substantial, that have been there for centuries, and some people would argue have always been there, are taken away.
Yep.
Secularisation has caused so many problems.
Absolutely.
In this country. The breakdown in, I think, again, it's ridiculous to think that some people would think that what I'm going to say is controversial, but I think children should be brought up in an ideal type scenario. It's like, in an ideal type scenario, kids should be brought up with a mummy and daddy. In an ideal type scenario.
100%.
That's not to say there isn't a million, not a million's an exaggeration, different forms of family.
A child needs a mother and a father, full stop. A child needs a father,
no, but the thing is, what's happened in the current dispensation we're in this sort of a postmodern dichotomy we're all trapped in, is that is now getting seen as a reactionary statement that I've just made, that children need a mummy. Children need a mummy and a dad.
Of course they do.
But that's
when you don't have that, it creates splitting. It creates psychological split. It creates terrible. The mind to be split. It means that there's a.
Ross, look at the African American community, with 40% of pregnancies end in abortion, and something like 60 or 70%. Children are brought up with the mother. There's no father. There's no parental influence here. There's no paternal family. There's no adults. There's no good male role models. Now, anybody that says that's not an issue is willfully been blind to what's happening amongst so many people, and it's happening here as well. No, I can see it in schools. I mean, no, people who work on the ground know this is an issue. That if there's no, well, a lot of kids,
Young
if you
boys
take away
don't know
the
how to be
male,
men.
if you take away the male role model, they're bullying the mother. There's nobody there to chastise them, and all right, we know that there's lunatics out there that's saying kids should be able to do what they want when they're about 3 or something like that. But no, they're the type of people who have destroyed so much that's important, that's significant, and what people need, and what kids need. Kids need structure and order and discipline.
Boundaries.
Boundaries.
Containment.
But they're not getting boundaries.
No.
The kids are growing up now. You know, it's like, I know we keep going back to this, because we should keep going back to it, because this is the most important questions for society.
Of course it is.
It's what kids are, the kind of society the kids are getting socialised into.
Yep.
And if kids are getting socialised into a society where they can do, kids are getting told, you can do whatever you want, there's no boundaries, you do whatever you want.
Frank.
Because see, whatever you do doesn't have consequences for other people. That's pish.
Of course
It's
it is.
absolute nonsense.
Yep. My son thought it was appropriate, or rather, my son's mother thought it was appropriate to snort cocaine with him. And they thought that was normal.
Well, this is what one of the issues is.
But when I pipe up, right, and put a boundary in around that, or indeed voice an opinion about that, guess what? Who's the bad guy?
You're the bad guy.
I'm the bad guy.
You're
But
the bad
mummy can snort cocaine with that. But mummy can snort cocaine with a boy, and you know
This is.
you can't
This
voice
is
an
a-
opinion on
this-
it.
this
You're
is
the
a-
bad guy.
You're the bad guy. But this is a major problem, I think. But this is a major problem as well. Now I might say a couple of things here that, anybody that thinks, by and large, it's better if parents don't get divorced. The reason I'm saying that, is the incidence of child abuse and incest and all that, and forms it. All these things are all due to the breakdown of the family, I think.
Family's completely broken down.
Oh, totally broken. The structures, these kind of structures, don't hardly exist any longer. If you defend them, you're seen as reactionary. You know, I mean, I listen to a guy quite a lot now. I've been listening to him for the last 10 years, actually. I've been listening to these types of guys who have stopped drinking, like, say, Roger Scruton. Fantastic English Protestant intellectual who's got so much to say about art, about politics. He's very much in the mould of a reactionary, high Tory, English conservative.
Right.
But his stuff on culture, on art, on society and architecture is absolutely first class. I'll need to send you a couple of his podcasts.
But imagine a West of Scotland male, stereotypical West of Scotland male, that you invited them to look at art, culture, think about architecture, and discuss history. They look at you and go, "You're a faggot."
Aye, that's right.
You know.
That, unfortunately, that's
really. Excuse me for saying that derogatory term to my.
But that's the kind of the issues that people are what I'm trying to say is this.
The mindset has become so closed that it's contaminated.
But is it ever not been closed? I mean, I'm going to be honest. The guy I'm talking about, Scruton. I remember he addressed a meeting of the Right Wing Monday Club in 1979. That one thing. This is long before I knew about. I had sort of looked. I looked at political stuff and I totally detached it from the culture. The culture that the political decisions generate certain cultural sort of superstructure, if you like, political decisions. So I discounted this guy and I never read anything more about him. And I came across him on Facebook maybe about 8 years ago or something like that. Sorry, came across him on YouTube. He's dead. He died I think maybe 2 years ago or something. Guy's an outstanding, probably the finest English intellectual of his generation. And I've started, and I'm listening to stuff and I'm going like, oh, God, the insights the guy's got's amazing. But it's good, he's basically arguing, we've come to a stage where culture, I mean, I think our culture's degenerating at this particular moment, degenerating. And what he talks a lot about beauty and conceptions of beauty. What is beauty? You know, and the way you could also argue, you know, look at some of this shite that's put forward in contemporary narratives in relation to art. What is beauty in art? Some of the art is absolutely rubbish. It's just rubbish, absolute dribble. But our beauty's in the art of the beholder. but to an extent it is, but you can't. No, that's all very good. If you take a totally postmodern position that there's nobody can comment on nothing and everything is within the eye of the beholder, if you like, or no, what I see is the truth. Your truth isn't my truth. If that's the case, then how can any comment on anything?
But there again, I said this morning to somebody, there is no ultimate truth.
I think there is, but
what would that be? What would that
ultimate
truth be?
I believe the ultimate truth lies in a transcendent being with God. I believe that an ultimate truth.
I would agree with that. Sorry,
you know,
from a human, let me reframe that. From our human constraints and the way that we manage us, because we're such a disconnected self, there can't be an ultimate truth. The only ultimate truth that I see is love.
But see, if you say that, but love, beauty, is transcendent truth of God.
It's God.
But what I'm
or
saying
a
is,
narrative
but if
of
you
God.
say that, you're not with it. You're not trendy. You need to be with it. You need to believe some sort of dribble to be accepted into this sort of this homogenising orthodoxy of truth.
And is that
which I reject?
Is that what's happened with church? Is church became not trendy because it's trendy to meditate? We Flora Neville just phoning in there.
Yeah.
Phone Flora when I get out of this. You know, and then you've got Westerners walking about with bindies in their forehead, wearing saris and trying to be
trendy.
It's
just it's like
so when you say
what it is, it's absolutely a striving for spirituality.
But there again, there's a vortex.
It's a sort of it's a sort of spirituality you can't pick up with.
Yes.
It's like trying to pick mercury up with a pitchfork.
Aye.
It's undefinable.
Yes, absolutely.
It can't be defined.
Yes, I like that, and I like that. And through the breakdown of our churches and that void, which is like a vortex that's been created because there's no structure around the church anymore, or a belief system, or believing in something anymore, which has broke down family values. There's a huge vortex in there, and that vortex is getting filled with anything from Deepak Chopra to Wim Hof. And it's like whatever's trendy, you've got these new age seekers that'll jump
just believe anything.
They'll believe anything.
Absolutely
it's like right
anything.
Now. And again,
but you'll believe anything that justifies the way they're living their life at this particular moment.
Absolutely.
See, it's like me turning around and saying, it would be a lot easier for me to say something like that. No, I think people should have affairs. I think people should take drugs. I think people should drink to excess.
Do what they want. It's a free world.
Because, you know, and you see people trying to justify the way they've lived their life.
Yep.
It's a lot more honest and liberating, in my opinion.
Yes.
To be able to turn around and say, I've done these things. But I don't see the things that I've done. I don't want to just look at them now and say, well, that's just the way it is. I want to look now. I want to recontextualise those things, those issues, from my perspective now and say, no, they were wrong. They weren't the right things to do, because the way what I was doing was hurting other people.
Yeah.
See this thing, this shit I know about if I smoke hash, if I take Charlie,
I'm not hurting anybody.
This is absolute myth. It's not true. You know, it's a.
But folk believe that. I'm smoking dope. I'm not hurting anybody but myself.
But you're going to create issues in the future for the economy. You're going to create issues for the National Health Service in the future, because your mental health's going to be shattered. You're also creating issues for your family, the people that love you, run about you. When you're also creating creating issues for yourself in terms of what you're going to know, how much money you're going to make in the future. How much more money would you have made in the future if you weren't sitting done in with Puff?
Yep.
Or how much money would you have made if you weren't sitting Snort Charlie?
Yep.
Or drinking to excess.
Absolutely.
You know?
But people don't want to think that way.
And the problem you've got is you're going to come up against people going like that. It's getting nothing to do with you. It's up to me what I do with my body. But all right, fair enough. It's up to you what you do. But don't tell me that what you do with your body doesn't have consequences for the rest of us. Don't tell me that if you have affairs, it doesn't have consequences for the women that you're married to.
Of course,
that you're not going to destroy her life or the kids.
Yeah.
Or that when you break up with this person that you're having an affair with, it's still going to have an effect on her or impinge on any children that arise to that relationship.
Absolutely.
So, actions have consequences.
Of course they do. Cause and effect.
Absolutely, mate.
Absolutely. No, that's really interesting. That's got me thinking.
Yep.
How long have we been blathering for?
Great conversations.
I could sit here all afternoon chatting.
I just love the fact that tens of thousands of people are now listening in Canada, America,
New Zealand,
Malaysia, Australia, New Zealand. It's just amazing. It might not show up here, Australasia.
No, it's changing a whole culture of view that I can do what I want. And
I mean, it's again, you know, you're going to get, having this type of conversation that you and I are having, you're leaving yourself open to it. I mean,
of course you are.
It's
vulnerable, isn't it?
Yeah, but the thing is, if you go to a stage in your life when you really don't care what other people choose to, we can be responsible for our own words and what we mean, but we can't be responsible for how other people try to misrepresent what we're trying to say. And basically what we're trying to say here is, I think, and sorry for just jumping right in again, but what I'm trying to say here is, what we do, what I do, has got consequences for other people.
Of course it has.
And they affect other people.
And we now think about that.
Aye.
But 20 years ago we never thought about that.
No, not at all.
And coming from someone who has snorted kilos of cocaine,
that's
smoked many kilos of grass, and
drank. But that's what I'm trying to say. It's been able to, it's instead of turn around and say, right, I'm a retired hippie now and do whatever you want. No, I'm saying no. That isn't the way to live your life.
From what I've learned, my behaviour has had an impact on my parents, how embarrassed they must have been about me, how much shame, maybe, I'm guessing, how it's affected my mindset, how sobriety has brought me, I genuinely feel
actions have consequences.
Of course they do, and I feel as if I'm grateful that I've got a chance to start again. And
1,000,000%.
I've bought my house and I've got my stuff, and I'm grateful for all of that, But I still feel as if I'm about 10 years behind everybody else. I still feel that my whimsical living on what.
Well, can I say something? Yes, it's important. You're right. At meetings, we're told in the big book, you shouldn't regret the past.
Yep.
Right? And I've said to you before, I do regret the past, right?
Yep.
But another way of looking at it is, despite some of the ludicrous behaviours I've exhibited over the year, you could probably say I've somehow or another managed to do no bad where I'm at in life. I don't mean in my material things, because I'm no materially orientated. But in terms of my professional life, in terms of my academic life, you'd probably say, he's doing all right.
Yeah.
But I would have been doing a lot better if I hadn't have took detours into other worlds. And that's the God's honest truth.
Absolutely.
I would have been a lot further forward. However you want to look at it, I would have been a lot further forward.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm only me. And I'm thinking about the amount of people out there that's maybe destroyed their lives, completely destroyed their lives, and maybe no had the inner resources to come back for these types of lifestyles.
And everybody has, and as Susan said, everybody has got the choice to make a different choice.
Aye.
Everybody's got the power to make a different choice, and it's like, I could decide to stop in at the Horse and Jockey on my way up the road tonight in Lanark High Street and order a large whiskey and a pint of Guinness and go down that road.
Aye.
But I'm choosing not to do that today.
Yep.
Why? Because I value what I've got. I value my mindset. I value my serenity. And that's not just drugs or alcohol. It was certain people, relationships I was in that really had an impact on my serenity. Right? Relationships that I went into because I had no self-worth. I allowed them.
Oh, absolutely.
I allowed those people, right, to... But pulling the responsibility back a wee bit, they treated me exactly the way I thought about myself, right? And as you were talking about changing mindsets and changing like how dramatically it is, see when you actually start to have value in yourself. I honestly can't remember the last time somebody was cheeky to me or spoke to me derogatory, because I'm not speaking to myself like that any longer.
Yep. Yes,
Whereas when I had no value, in myself,
totally,
and thought
Ross,
that,
that's a brilliant.
and thought that I was worthless,
Aye.
or thought that I didn't have the capability or capacity that these other people had, right? That strictly was not true. That was not true. I was paying myself a disservice. And that goes back to the conversation about wee Darren. Darren's going in the water every morning, and I'm going in the water every morning. And every day, somebody's like, you're off your head, you're mental.
See that's, and it could be.
But is there something in him wants these people to be saying,
No,
you're off your head,
no,
mate,
but
you're
it's
mental,
probably
mate.
that he's trying his best to get himself away from that type of circle that he was.
So it's a circle of friends?
It's so-called friends
Yes.
that try to drag the boy down, or try to bring the boy down,
and
the boy's doing his best.
It's doing great.
And and that's, and I, in a sense, I see myself. I can imagine the way who that boy is. You just need to keep going,
Yes.
and not allow people to drag you back the way.
Absolutely.
Into negative dispensation, negative ways of looking at the world. And so that could be something there, because I mean, as I said to you, I can remember at one time going like that, sitting guys out running going like, they're after nut. But in the space of 10 years, and I've completely and utterly changed my worldview and how I look at the world and how I see things. In terms of morality, how I treat people.
Yes.
In terms of how I treat people.
Your morality and how you're treating people is only a cause and effect of how you've started to treat yourself, because you couldn't. And that brings up that conversation again about that passage in Matthew, love your neighbour as yourself. I know nobody that loves herself. Well, folk that are making a difference and they're going to meetings and they're changing their behaviour and they're apologising for their behaviour. But see the people that are righteous and they're stuck in this worldview that they are right, okay? And it's funny because I'm sharing something, like some of the people that have disempowered, or I had allowed to disempower me, that I felt in my mind. Hi, my dear, how are you? Are you well?
I'm good.
Good.
Yeah.
We're just grooving along with us. You know, the masses have been asking for it.
The biggest podcast in the world at the moment.
Really?
Oh, aye, bigger than that guy James English and that.
Don't
What do
even
you call
mention
Rogan?
Rogan.
Joe Rogan.
Aye,
You heard of him? He's
thousands
Boys
and
Gate.
thousands of people watching. It's amazing.
I don't know what he's even talking
I know.
Just
Neither
things.
do we.
Stuff.
Neither do we.
Stuff. Very, very few people know how to love themselves. And you know, if I loved myself, would I be putting, you know, fish supper into my mouth 2 or 3 times a week? Of course not. Would I be drinking iron brew? Of course I would.
Aye.
My body doesn't like that. But the interesting thing is these people that projected this superior attitude that was actually, in my mind, were better than me, or they were more powerful than me, you know, I used to judge them, and the judgments dropped. And do you know, I've passed them a few times lately, and their energy shrunk. They've actually cowered down. And I was like that. I'm not.
Because it's us that give them energy.
Correct.
I just.
And they've wilted.
Aye.
So they're no the big powerful I am that they think they are. And I'm like that.
As soon as you focus on yourself,
But do you know what? It's no me that's threatening you. It's what you know that you've done to me that's causing the threat.
Aye.
Somewhere you feel guilty inside yourself for how you treated me.
Aye.
And that guilt's eating you up. And I just drove past and I've like, let it go. You know, gave it up to God. You know.
Which is
accepted I am powerless.
Aye. This is a big thing, accepting your powerlessness, putting your trust in God, according to the 12 steps and all that, which
Or your understanding of God.
Or your
My
understanding
understanding of God is not a Christian type.
Well, it is for me actually.
It's not a big guy on a cloud with a staff.
I mean,
for me, it's an energy that binds us all together. There's a universal force that we're all interconnected, and we really are all the same, and we're all fractions of the same mirror. It's like if I was to turn round and judge, like, oh, look at that wee Ned. Well, have I ever been a Ned? Aye, I'm nearly 50 and I still dress like one. You know, anytime you point a finger, there's 3 fingers pointing back at me. So how can I go about in a world and not believe that we're not? If I'm judging you, I'm only judging myself. We all came for the one mirror. It just so happened it's been broken into 7.5 billion pieces now, right?
I think the secret is to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, the reality is you're never going to bring everybody with you. You know, I've probably got as many detractors now as what I had when I was a madman with the baby and the drink and the drugs. People will always try and project their representations of you.
Yes, but that's not your responsibility.
It's absolutely not. You know,
you will always succumb to other people's projections.
I say,
that is not your
keep
responsibility.
Keep doing the right thing.
Yeah. Keep moving forward.
Keep moving forward. Keep doing the right thing.
And it's a lot harder, or it feels a lot harder to keep moving forward than it does to fall back the way. But in actual truth, when you really break it down, where would you rather be right now? Sitting here addressing hundreds of thousands of people, right?
Exactly.
Right,
you
or
know.
can't wait to finish work to go for a pint. It's a no-brainer, innit?
No-brainer. No-brainer.
Congregating outside there having a fag. I used to do that myself.
Just
Until I had to congregate outside to do it, and I went, why? Why am I isolating myself further from my companions that are inside in the heat right now? And just gave up the fags.
That was a wee bit a struggle for me, but I mean, the whole point of what you're trying to say here is be honest to yourself.
And trust yourself.
And trust yourself. Aye.
Be honest to yourself and trust yourself that you have got the capacity to change. You might need the right guidance, and from that you could call a qualified counsellor and coach.
Yes, like Mr.
Like
Mr.
Matt,
Hislop
like
here.
me.
I mean, I think you've got 3 weeks of a lockdown coming up here.
Yeah.
But you know, the reality is we've not really been out of lockdown because there's nobody, people might have been able to get to their work and maybe go shopping, but pubs are shut and you're not able to go and socialise or anything like that.
The whole system's
And of course,
changed.
and if people that have never been adhering to any sort of social restrictions will continue to do what they've done anyway.
Yep, they'll
They'll
always
not
do
bother
what
them anyway, they'll just continue to...
If you always do what you've always done, you will always get what you've always gotten.
Yep.
And sometimes you've just got to change what you do
I
in
think-
small, incremental steps, and really celebrate the small wins. Celebrate each small thing that you do that's different, and rather than looking at the big picture, oh, I need to climb Everest. No, you don't need to climb Everest. You might need to get to base camp a few times, and then you've climbed the same distance and had such a good experience doing it. Small, incremental steps.
1 million, I tend to agree with that as well.
And celebrate the small wins. Celebrate where you didn't fall into aggressive behaviour when somebody challenged you. You didn't succumb to road rage when somebody pulled out in front of you. And just keep being thankful as much as you can. And gratitude, you hear a lot of that right now. A lot of that going about a gratitude journal and a this and a that. Honest to goodness. See when these glasses come through the post yesterday morning from
Hugh Ross, Optician, Shettleston Road, Glasgow, traditional values, modern vision.
Our podcast is sponsored clearly by
Hugh Ross.
See when I opened the parcel,
Hugh's different class,
and they were there. honestly, it filled my heart. It just absolutely filled my heart.
I don't
that
know how
he would do that. I don't even know how he had my address.
I really don't know how MD could go to any other opticians other than
Ross.
Hugh Ross Opticians, Shettleston Road, Glasgow. In fact, the next time around, I'm going to wear my other glasses I've got
Got
from
from
Mr.
Hugh Ross.
Mr. Hugh Ross.
Hugh Ross.
Traditional values, modern vision.
Brilliant.
I think we'll call it a day that, mate. Eh?
Listen, it's been an absolute privilege. All our only hope is
Hopefully
that
we'll talk before Christmas. We'll get something organised.
Aye, even if we do it not together, and we can do it from the comfort of our own living room. And
then we can choose what we're going to have behind us, whether it's photographs, books or
photographs,
or whatever.
You know, but if one person
Gets
can
any
take
benefit,
one little nugget out of us rattling our wee hearts off and being vulnerable, that's our job's done.
Brilliant. All right, brother. Cheers,
Always
pal.
good. All the best. Have a great Thursday.